Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack. Logano has been the class of the field.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah, I need to change my underwear.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your NASCAR betting and DFS home. That is Brian Twining. I am Kyle Robert. We are here live Sunday morning to get you set for tonight's race, 7 o'clock on the East Coast, 4 o'clock for us West Coasters. So yeah, we're going to jump into it. We're going to talk some DraftKings. We're going to talk some post-qualifying thoughts, update the betting card as we see fit, get some educated guesses at how this track may play out, and all that stuff. So Brian, let's just jump into it. While I do that, how's everything going out there for you?
Well, it's going good, man. We were talking prior to recording here, and I'm one of the few people, I think, maybe in the NASCAR community that actually looks forward to these stupid super speedway races. Like I don't know, I enjoy all the movement that we see throughout the field. I know Atlanta doesn't present the same thing as Daytona or Talladega, but I actually thrive off of the uncertainty in these types of races. Now, that doesn't always do good for our betting card, but in terms of entertainment value, I'm thoroughly looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. Obviously, under the lights, I'm excited about. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, the March race was a lot colder. And then they did qualifying, obviously, in the middle of the day. But then the race is going to get later. Of course, NASCAR and their ever-ending battle with weather might have to deal with some rain. I don't know what's going on.
Not.
This year, it's like every race, there's like some threat of rain, even if it's been dry for 6 years. It's like, no, it actually might rain tonight because NASCAR's here. It's been an interesting conundrum. So I guess, do you think because the race is later, we might see a little bit more like March, and not necessarily the sweltering heat like we see at maybe Daytona or even Dega?
I think it will race similar to what we saw earlier in the year, but the temperature is still going to be drastically different. Like, it's going to be much warmer than it was, regardless of whether or not the sun's up or down. Yep. So I think, clearly you saw it yesterday during qualifying. There are some cars that were set up for maybe race trim, and they're slipping and sliding like they were running on ice. And there was the Fords, who they clearly have a distinct advantage aero-wise when it comes to qualifying here. Now, is that going to translate today during the race and at the end? We'll see, but I'm not expecting them to finish, with 8 of the 10, top 10 cars. Yeah,
it was a really weird day. Obviously, the Fords had the 1 lap speed. Some of the Chevys were really concerned. Of course, Kyle Larson's is like, I just want to get it around this track. I don't expect to qualify in the pole. And of course, he puts it in the top 10. So that's very on brand for Kyle Larson. Bubba couldn't even get his lap together. Like, it was a wild ride. A lot of the guys were, Reddick was talking about pooping his pants, and it wasn't because of a stomach bug this time. And it was an interesting race, to say the least. So we'll see if that provides some value as we dive into DraftKings, because super speedways, people will, moving through the field isn't quite as easy, but as we saw yesterday with the Xfinity race, there's plenty of opportunities for nonsense and craziness and getting guys that are starting in the back, finding a way to the front and going from there. So let's start with the 10Ks, where we have 4 options this week. Kyle Busch starting 22nd at 10.5, Chase starting 23rd at 10.4, the aforementioned Kyle Larson starting 8th at 10.2, and Joey Logano starting 4th at 10.1. Do you have any interest dipping into this region this week?
I will say Chase Elliott's going to be probably the most rostered person, so he's a complete fade for me. Kyle Busch, I don't really know what to expect out of him. Kyle Larson, he's trash at super speedway races, whether or not it's luck or just, his ability to draft. He's just not good. So if you are going to go in the 10K range, it pains me to say you got to go with Joey Logano. It's extremely gross, but I think of these guys, first of all, you're probably gonna you have the potential of early dominator points here, which he did it earlier in the spring where he led over 140 laps. I think he could quickly jump to the front and lead a bunch of laps too.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think he makes sense as a potential early dominator. If you want to go to the second one, I'm with you on Larson. I'm not a big fan of him this week. I know Derek Yoder is a little more optimistic. I'm not buying it. I think his history speaks for itself. Obviously, this is a home game for Chase, but I just don't trust him this year. He has not been the same guy. He has been pretty average, even when he's finishing in the top 10 because of pit calls and other nonsense.
And I think it's important to note too with Elliott, like there are so many possibilities of something going wrong at a track like this. And with him having to be a little bit more aggressive as we close out the regular season, he's probably going to be put in situations that up the chance of him wrecking or up the chance of him not finishing with a good spot. So, I mean, he's a little more dangerous now than he was even last year at this race.
Yeah, I don't blame anybody if you're doing a bunch of lineups and you bet on the Chase Elliott wins race, because he does need to win to get into the playoff, or at least it seems like that. So if you want to build some lineups around him winning, I don't fault anybody for doing that. But yeah, this might be just a completely avoid range. I might just cut them all off and dive down into the 9K, because I think this is going to be a race where I'm fine leaving salary on the table, fine leaving. Leaving a whole range lopped off. So the 9K range, Ryan Blaney starting second, or Denny Hamlin starting 14th, Ryan Blaney starting second, Byron starting 18th, my boy Ross starting 30th, Christopher Bell starting 34th, and Brad K top 11. If we jump past the 10K and we just kind of avoid it totally, where does your mind and your roster go for the 9K range?
Ryan Blaney starting on the front row. All it's going to take is for him to get out in front of Eric Almirola, and he's leading. He is therefore becomes Joey Logano from the spring, where he's leading over 100 laps. You know, he's dominating the race early. I think he makes the most sense if you are skipping that 10K range. And this isn't just my Ryan Blaney love speaking here. He was fantastic in the spring, you know, helping Logano draft. He was right up front at the end. So I think he's a good spot if you want early dominator points with the potential to win here. I love Blaney.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I like pairing him with Ross too. I think he makes, or even Christopher Bell.
I think Bell too. If people didn't watch qualifying, I think he may get a little overlooked just by the fact that he got a little too close to the apron there on his lap. So he lost control of it, and he miraculous save that he didn't wreck it. So, I mean, that's why he's starting near the back end. The rest of the Toyotas had decent speed in qualifying, and you know that eventually they're going to try to hook up. And, you know, you got Hamlin, Bubba, even Reddick, and then even Bell himself. Like, they're all pretty good super speedway racers.
Yep. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm not really interested in Keselowski. I know people are excited about him. Obviously, he's a Ford, ran really well here last year. I don't know. Like, there's something about it. And maybe I'll look real dumb when he wins this race, but
please no.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fitting way to finish it, because obviously your boy Logano won the spring race, so Keselowski has to win the fall race. It's like,
no, that would
Ryan
just be
Blaney has to crash out or something. Let's dive into the 8K range. We got Truex starting us off at 16th, Chris Buescher, the other RFK, starting 15th at 8,600, Tyler Reddick's 12th at 85. Bubba, who didn't even run a lap, I think could be interesting, obviously starting in the very back. Alex Bowman right in front of him rounds out the 8K range. Are you with me on Bubba and even Bowman, who are starting 36th and 37th, although they may be a little more rostered than maybe we are excited about? But I guess where are you at with this range?
Yeah, like I don't expect Bubba Wallace to be at the back of the field for that long. I mean, he's clearly one of the sport's top like super speedway style racers. He didn't throw his lap together. It sounded like there might have been something wrong with the car during his interview. He didn't really reveal what exactly it was. but I expect them to get that figured out. I mean, his teammate Tyler Reddick, he almost put it inside the top 10. So I mean, they clearly have decent speed, and maybe a little bit faster than the JGR cars right now. So Bubba starting 37th. The only problem with him is going to be how popular he is, because most people that play in these are familiar with his prowess at this track type, and just like Chase Elliott starting far back, he's going to be extremely popular.
I'm going to push back a little bit. I feel like he might go a little overlooked, based on some of the stuff I've been looking into, especially with Bowman's right there at 36, the Daytona 500 winner as we dive into the 7K range. Ricky Stenhouse is starting 29th. And the fact that they looked so uncomfortable in practice, people I think not practice, qualifying, people might, I feel like people might be off him a little bit, but we'll see as when contest locks and ownership comes out. All right, so after Stenhouse, we have Kevin Harvick starting 6th. Ty Gibbs, the only Toyota in the top 10, starting 7th. The aforementioned pole sitter Eric Almirola starting 1st, 75th, 7,500. Cindric gets in the top 10, but definitely ran a slow qualifying lap once he got there. Daniel Suarez, 26th. Eric Jones, 25th, rounds out the 7K range. Who is interesting to you from this section?
I mean, this is a tough section here because, you're trying to find the guy near the front that would wind up getting dominator points, starting inside the top 10 or hopefully staying up there. And, it's kind of weird to say, but Kevin Harvick, I'm wearing the hat. Like, if he can just maintain position, he's a guy that could put himself in a spot to potentially take the race here. I don't know if he's going to be able to get to the front or if he'll even have race leading speed. I mean, we haven't seen that out of SHR. So I'm not taking too much away from him, Chase Briscoe, Eric Almirola, all putting it inside the top 10 there. But, I think Harvick is in a spot where he's basically going full go the rest of the season. Like, this is his last hurrah. So he's going to try to win races. He's extremely successful at Atlanta throughout his career, not on this new layout, but it is a track he's been good at in the past. So I don't see why he couldn't stay near the front.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting range based on, I think a lot of people could easily skip the 7Ks and go down to the 6Ks and just kind of avoid it, because there's guys like Cindric and Gibbs and who are higher than we like, and Suarez and Jones are people that people tend to fade. So I think this could be a spot to be a little bit unique and find a way to get different. I don't hate Eric Jones. He's obviously terrifying, but he does like to go fast, super speedways, fast 2 miles. This could be a good spot for him. I like Cindric still, even though he wasn't, he was good, not great in practice, obviously got the Ford bump, but when you're teammates with Logano and Blaney, it's a good spot to be. It's a good garage to be in and to figure some stuff out. And I honestly don't even hate Richard Stenhouse. Recce might wreck, and you have to kind of, figure out which parts of the aggression you want to get in. Do you want Eric Jones? Do you want Stenhouse? You probably don't want them both. Yeah. But I think there is potential in this range for sure.
Yeah, and I think also something also quickly to recognize is that of the 3 races we've run here at the New Atlanta, the most cars that have finished inside the top 10 that actually started inside the top 10 was 5, and that was, I believe, that was the fall of last year, and the 2 of the other 3, it's only been 4. So I mean, you're looking at a potential of over half of the top 10 finishers all starting outside the top 10, mid-teens, low teens, and the 20s. Like, we don't know what type of chaos we're going to get, especially with this being at night but hot.
Yep.
And you've already saw the Chevys are loose. So, I mean, you probably don't want to fill your card up too much with guys starting, in that top 12, 14 range.
And if you told me that these 4 drivers right here, Harvick, Gibbs, Almirola, and Suarez or Cindric, were 4 of the 5 or 6 that end up outside the top 15 or so, I wouldn't blame anybody. So a little bit of uniqueness at the front, cause for chaos. Obviously, the Chevys get loose. We'll see what's up with the Toyotas, but yeah, there is opportunities for some carnage for sure. So build accordingly, plan accordingly, be ready for some madness. The 6K range, we got the Dinger starting 19th, Mike Dowell starting 20th, Corey LaJoie starting 28th, Austin Dillon starting 33rd, Chase Briscoe. No one will be playing Chase Briscoe starting 3rd. Ryan Priest starting 13th, rounds out the 6K range. Are you playing Chase Briscoe, Brian?
I can't. I will say, I think he's an interesting dart throw for a win here because he did have that 3-race streak, late spring where he finished top 5, I think 3 consecutive races.
Yep.
And, as shitty as he's been, we didn't come into this season talking about him potentially competing for the championship for no good reason. Like he has been good, in the past. He's shown the ability. If you really want to get wonky with a lineup, like you put him up there as your dominator, and then you fill your roster with like the Chase Elliott's and the Bubba Wallace's all starting at the back of the field, the Ross Chastains. But I cannot do that.
I will say Briscoe started on the pole. He started top 8, and he started like mid-pack 14th. And each time he's been kind of in that 15 to 20 range for all 3 of his finishes.
Yeah, I just don't look at him as a super speedway guy.
No, and that's probably fair. I will say he's the last 2022 March. He started on the pole and was 3rd after stage 2. So he was able to keep it up there for a majority of the race. I don't hate it. I mean, obviously, trusting SHR and all their nonsense is a big ask, but I mean, if you want to get a little unique, be a little bit different, he is definitely a place to start. We'll round out the rest of the field. We have Austin Hill starting 32nd at 5,900. Justin Haley starting 17th, 58. Cole Custer starting 21st at 56. Noah Gragson, Todd Gilliland, Harrison Burton, Ty Dillon, JJ Yaley, and BJ McLeod round out the rest of the field. If we're looking to be cheap, if we're looking to save money, who are the names that are jumping out to you?
Well, I'm definitely not putting Harrison Burton or Todd Gilliland in there starting inside the top 10. I have zero faith that they could maintain those positions. I think for me, I like Ty Dillon starting 27th, 4,900 in a Spire car. Like we've seen it before. Corey LaJoie is really good here. They're both kind of successful super speedway type drivers. I think he could easily maintain a low 20s finish, and at 4,900, I think he does present a decent possibility of finishing inside the top 20 starting there. So I like him out of everybody from this group based on cost and where he's beginning the race.
Yeah. Austin Hill and Justin Haley are 2 guys that I really like in terms of racers from this range, but I think they're going to be easy clicks for a lot of people if you come down here. The 2 names,
especially after what Haley did last week.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the names that I'm leaning towards in this range, and it's going to be really gross, but Cole Custer and Noah Gragson, I think both provide value where they're starting. I think they're going to be basically unrostered, and I think they have potential to be a weird finish where all of a sudden they're finishing 9th or 10th.
The question then is, are you trusting then the Rick Ware equipment to last the entirety of the race under Cole Custer?
You know what you're getting. It's a ticking time bomb. That car could explode at any second, but for the money, for what you need, I think they make some sense if you want to be a little bit different. If you're a little more chalky up with your other picks, this could be a good spot to get unique because these guys are all at the end of the day down here for a reason. So
yeah,
if you want to be a little unique and get off of some of the heavy, easily clicked guys like Haley, like Austin Hill, it's really easy just to go, okay, give me Gregson, even Gilliland. I know you don't trust him to be way up there, but he has been interesting. And if we're going to trust him anywhere, I think this is a good spot for him to be trusted, relative to his price, right? If he was 7,500, I would have no interest, but at below 6K, I think I'm fine. All right. I say we built 2 lineups this week. I'll give you the T for the first one. I'll take the T for the second one, and we'll go from there.
All right, Ryan Blaney.
Okay, Ryan Blaney. Bell or Chastain is our second in.
No. This is your pick.
Okay.
All right. Let's see.
Feel free to go all the way to the bottom, all the way to the top, whatever you want to do. I'll make it work.
Keep going. All right, stop. This group right here, I just want to mention this. So the Eric Jones through Austin Dillon.
Yep.
I wouldn't think it'd be that crazy if you put 3 or 4 of these guys in a lineup, because all of them are good at these track types.
Uh-huh.
You know, I'm gonna go with Dinger here. I think he's kind of been on the up and up recently.
I'm gonna stay in this range. I like that. I like where your head's at. So we have 8,500 for each of our 2 drivers. Obviously, we don't have to use it. We could go all the way down. We could get one guy, go back up. We could.
All right, yeah. Keep scrolling up. All right.
Do we need some more Ford exposure, or do we just trust that they're not gonna? That they're gonna.
The thing is like the Ford. Honestly, for me, the Ford is very top heavy in who can finish good. You know, it's the 10K guys or the 9K guys.
Yeah, and if we want to go up there, we can totally do that. If there's somebody up here that you're clamoring to get in, but
I mean, we could piggyback and just go both Penske guys, Logano and Blaney.
Yeah, I like it.
And that really doesn't doesn't handcuff you very much, because
not at all. I love LaJoy. Dylan's fine. Could come down here and get a little gross.
What about, okay, so we're kind of ignoring him, but if we want to go a little bit Ford heavy in this one, why not McDowell?
I could do that.
Because he's good at speedways.
That's fine. I'll go with that. Just zeroes us out. So, but I feel like this lineup's not going to be easily duped. So we'll save that lineup. We'll create another lineup.
Just as long as it's Joey Logano that wrecks and ruins that one, and not Ryan Blaney.
As long as it's not Logano wrecking Ryan Blaney.
Oh man! All right, you're teeing us off here.
I'm gonna put in the race winner, Tyler Reddick.
Boom! I am so glad you went there. He is somebody that I'm still high on. We're gonna stick with the Toyotas here. Give me Christopher Bell starting 34th.
I'm gonna go with RFK, but I'm gonna go with RFK.
All right. So we got. All right, let's get a little salary savings. Go ahead and scroll down here. All right, let's take the chance. Let's throw the dart. Ty Dillon. 4,900.
I mean, you want to take a chance? I'm going to take a chance. Chase Briscoe, lead stage 1, lead stage 2. Get out of the way for stage 3.
That is effing disgusting.
You can put in literally whoever you want.
Yeah. Man, you know, I know he's going to be extremely popular, but
I mean, we have Ty Dillon and Chase Briscoe in our lineup, but I think we can afford a little. So.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think this would make sense to add Chase Elliott in case he does pop. Because we differentiate with the Dillon and the Briscoe combo for sure.
What a wild lineup we have.
We're relying on Chase Briscoe to give us early dominator.
The chases, man. Chase Briscoe to start, Chase Elliott to finish.
Hey, if that works out for us, that would be effing incredible.
Done. Let's ride. Let's go speak of the betting board and the chases and figure out where we're at. Because Brian, I expected, and obviously it's a super speedway. It's like a super speedway light. Like it's not a full super
Yeah.
speedway, but it's there. And I expected a little more movement on the betting board, and I don't think we've seen it. We can obviously go to Barstool and to Caesars to see what other options we have on the outright market and finishing position and whatnot. But let's just take a quick peek at where we're at, see what we
The
want to
biggest
add.
thing I don't understand is how do sports books go back to the market and try to tell us who are been doing this for a while now that Chase Elliott's number should have gotten shorter after they looked like dog shit during qualifying.
But it's not a should have, would have. It's we got a lot of money on Chase Elliott because all the Chase Elliott fans are betting
I
him to
know,
win
but
this race.
like how do they do that? I don't understand that. The
It's
number is
a
supposed to get
money
longer.
exposure thing. It's not a who they actually think is going to win. So right now I have two outrights. I have Ross at 16. I have Reddick at 25. I have Cindric to top 5. I have McDowell to top 10. I bet Cindric to pole. I felt good when he got in, but man, that qualifying lap was bad. Bowman over Keselowski and Byron over Keselowski. Hendrick over Keselowski train this week. Chastain over Larson is my best bet. And then Brian has Blaney, Busher, and Reddick, and then Blaney over Logano as it sits right now. So Elliott, 9 or 10. Blaney, 10, 12. Blaney at 12 is really tempting. He looked really good. I think he could do what Logano did and just get to the front, run away, and dominate this race.
Yeah.
Logano, Brad Kay, Larson, Kyle Busch, like any of these numbers really compelling to you as we kind of run through the names at the top?
It's just so hard to bet the top of the board at these types of races. But, you were just talking about it, what Logano did during the spring. I mean, when you look at these 3 races that we've had at the New Atlanta, track position matters a lot more here than it does at the Daytonas and the Talladega. So, I mean, if you're starting near the front in your first couple of rows, I definitely think you hold an advantage. So I still like the numbers on Blaney and Logano if you're going to cherry pick this top of the board.
Yep, I'm with you. I think if I'm betting anybody, it's Blaney. Outside of that, I'm kind of meh. As we dive into the next range, I think is where it starts to get a little interesting. Obviously, Almirola is seeing a nice boost up to as he sits on the pole. You can get Ross as long as 18. I like that. I think Byron is sort of interesting. Obviously, has been the mile-and-a-half king this year. We'll see what race looks like. And honestly, this might be a good spot to see. Like, sit back, watch stage 1, see who can get up near the front. Because if the Chevys figure it out, Hendrick guys like Byron moves up front, or like the Toyotas, like Truex moves near the more closer to the front, that might be you might be betting 8 or 12, but at least you're seeing him move forward, have a good idea. And once again, always be ready for a big crash. Always be ready for your guy to get completely taken out. So,
that, and
limit your exposure this week.
I think the added little nuance of pit road entry this year could create some issues with the under green. They have a 90 mile per hour speed limit on the back stretch, and then you don't slow down to 45 until you get to the actual entrance of pit road. And I
feel like that's going to cause a big accident because they're going to
that's going to one. I think that's possibility of a wreck, and 2, I think we're going to see a couple of speeding penalties.
Yeah,
Kyle
today.
Busch
is definitely getting one. That's just
exactly. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, like all these guys.
But yeah, Ross is interesting. I think Chris Bell at 20 or 22, I think is fine.
Yeah, I like that number a lot.
Somehow Tyler Reddick went out to 28, so that's cool.
Okay, so right there. How is it that Tyler Reddick opens at 25? Okay. Looks better than Chase Elliott.
They're not taking
his number
money on
gets
him.
Longer.
They're not taking we're the only jabronis lining up to bet him this week.
I don't get it.
Chris Buescher I like at 25. Ty Gibbs, Bubba. Bubba at 30 is fine. LaJoy and Bubba being the same
Ooh,
numbers.
Bubba at 35
Head
numbers are
scratching.
nice.
Yeah, 35 is even better. Chase Briscoe. I can't bet Chase Briscoe. If that was like a 53 instead of 35, I'd be in. All right, let me ask you this. If you have to put $10 on any of these, on Briscoe, Suarez, Jones, Cindric, or Stenhouse, you have to pick one. Who is it?
And I got to put $10.
$10.
Oh, it'd probably be Cindric. Look, I
Yeah.
don't think he's been good this year at all, but
I'm gonna bet him. He's going on the card.
like
Uh,
we've seen it before with him, and the Penske garage is good.
and
They're
it's
great here.
and it's 45 now. And he was
That's a good number on him.
I'm not putting $1 million on it, but I am gonna get on it. That's DraftKings, right? I think that's what that is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
DK.
DraftKings. Should do this. There we go. Bowman even at 45, I think is interesting too. I like him this week.
I mean, if you go all the way down to the very bottom, you could get absolutely wild.
You want to throw some darts and see what kind of lottery tickets we can get on?
You could pray for utter chaos and Ty Dillon take home the win at. I think that's like 1,000 to 1.
Let's calm down.
Yeah, it's
I think Gregson at 80.
Caesars.
Like if you want to get wild with an outright, this is the week to do it. Like obviously Daytona and Dega are a little bit better, but this is a good one.
And I think somebody that fits that mold is Ryan Preece. I'm pretty sure I talked about that earlier in the week. Like when he was in the Cup Series full time before his little hiatus, he was somebody on radars for super speedways. And I mean, he qualified pretty good. He's starting inside the top 15. He's right in that range of starting positions that cracks the top 10 in finishing order in the 3 races that we've had here. So
yeah, I believe our discussion was you liked Ryan Preece and I like Chase Briscoe. So so far the feather is in my cap, but Chase Briscoe could easily ruin that quickly.
Preece didn't qualify shitty though. That's the thing.
No, he sure didn't. All right, anything else you want to look at in terms of outrights, or should we head along to the finishing positions?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm too excited to get very much exposure in the outright market this week. There's too much that can go wrong.
Yep.
I'm trying to be frugal. Remember, I'm trying to be good here.
I don't like that. I miss the old Brian that would just fire and spray at the board and see what happened. It was so much more fun. All right, let's look at some finishing positions. We'll start, obviously, top 10 is a lot more fun this week. No, I'm not. Oh, I clicked on Brad Keselowski by accident. Is that a foreshadowing?
No, that is a no.
Let's see here. All right. So top 10, Byron is your favorite in the top 10 market, which is interesting. Obviously, he's been super consistent, but even minus 125 isn't terrible. It's Atlanta, so it's a little worrisome. But there's some good numbers. Anything jumping out to you? Kind of. This is like the range I think to get in. Like Reddick at 155. Chris Buescher at 155. Briscoe at 180. Cindric at 185.
I mean, if you like Cindric, like I don't mind that number.
Yeah, I have Cindric to outright. I have Cindric to top 5 at plus 450. We'll look at what his new number is. So I think I'm good on Cindric exposure. I feel like he's either going to be contending and near the front or he's going to be near the pack. Like, I don't see a 7th place finish for Cindric. I see like top 5 or like 15th, 20th. But maybe
that's probably fair.
Any of these lottery tickets, like Ty Dillon's 850, Cole Custer at 3-1, Preece at 275, McDowell at 235. Yeah, I bet McDowell at 210. 235 is even better. Justin Haley, you like any of these? Dinger at plus 235.
I don't mind the McDowell number. I don't mind the Priest number. Like again, these are all guys that are possibly going to jump in there. The only thing that's really hard for me is knowing that normally a Ryan Priest top 10 is probably more along the lines of a 4-1 or a 5-1, depending on the track that we're going to.
Yeah. Alex Bowman is 205 to top 10. I'm going to take a piece of that. I like Alex Bowman this week. And attacking him in matchups in like top 10 market is probably a smarter way to do it.
Yeah, and I will add to like the numbers that you're getting at Barstool or Bet Rivers are way better than what's being offered at Caesars right now. Caesars numbers are super short.
Yeah. Reddick at 425 to top 5, I think is interesting.
I do like that.
Cindric's up to 575. I bet it earlier at 450. Kind of tempted to add another quarter of a unit.
Don't do it.
No. Like Noah Gragson at 9-1. Like I'd much rather bet that than his outright. If I think he's gonna pop up and have a fine race, like a really good race for him, I'd rather go like top 5.
Yeah. I think. All right, so I am gonna add. All right, this is gonna be pretty frugal, but I'm gonna add the Red Dog top 10 plus 155.
Yeah, I like that.
Like that, and then I'm gonna take a swing at Almendinger at plus 235.
I like that too.
Because he's plus 140 at Caesars, so you're getting a substantial, odds boost there. And again, I'm not saying to completely ignore qualifying stuff, but like you're really looking for guys that excel at this type of racing. And Dinger has always been somebody that puts himself in position. Now, whether or not that pans out or he's creating the wreck is another story, but like he's in position a lot of the times.
Yeah, and I think, obviously the Fords dominated, but to your point, they don't always finish where they start.
Yeah.
And the Chevys and the Toyotas will figure some stuff out throughout the course of the race. So just trust guys that you can be good on super speedways and find a way to put their car in position when it matters most. Reddick at plus 750 to top 3 is really interesting. It's a big number.
Those get dicey for me though, man. Like at that point, I would just rather grab them at 25.
I just like it because I know there's a point where like he's racing for the win, and then all of a sudden he gets moved a little bit, and all of a sudden he finishes third instead of first, and I like having a little bit of a safety net. But I trust, anybody who wants to not go that way, I totally get.
Yeah, no, that does make sense.
Let's look at head-to-heads and see where we can find value. So Brad K versus Bowman. I got Bowman at plus 115. So 125 is not too bad. Ty Gibbs being plus 108 against Bubba after what we saw in qualifying, I think is interesting considering they're both Toyotas and Gibbs was much stronger, but that one lap speed might not really mean anything.
Yeah, and he clearly had a handle of his car while Bubba didn't.
Bubba couldn't even run a lap, so
yeah.
Reddick versus Buescher. Nothing jumps out. Eric Jones over Ricky Stenhouse is fine, but minus 120 feels like a big price for Eric Jones.
The matchups in these races are just so difficult, though, because it doesn't matter how good they are. It's not even their fault half the time that they get wrecked out.
Yeah. Top Toyota, Denny, Bell, Gibbs. Any value on any of these? Reddick at 5-1, I think, is interesting.
So that's the bet right there that I was telling you prior to recording that I'm
want to jump on. I think
that's
a good
Reddick
number.
top Toyota 5-1.
Briscoe 11-1 to top Ford.
It's not happening. Please, Lord, not. Well, I mean, it would be good for our championship futures. Let me throw that out there.
Yeah, at least get him in the playoff.
You know what? So maybe I should bet that just for the hell of it to root for it.
No.
I think the Chevy market is definitely somewhere where you could exploit good numbers, like a Chastain 8.5 to 1,
Yeah.
or even a LaJoy, who he excels at this track in particular too.
Yeah, because I don't trust really I don't trust Chase or Larson, so there's got to be value somewhere. Even Kyle Busch at 6 to 1.
Ooh, Tyler Reddick is plus 540 to be top Toyota at Caesars.
Boom! Look at that.
Yeah. Caesars placements numbers might be crap, but
Bowman at 20 to 1 to top Chevy. It's interesting. All right, at this point, we're just reading numbers. So let's give the people our final card. Let's give them a favorite bet, and let's get out of here so they can enjoy the rest of their Sunday. And we can do the same, obviously, get ready for the race. So right now I have Ross, I have Reddick, and I have Cindric. 16, 25, and 45. I'd still bet all three of them at their current numbers. Cindric top 5, McDowell top 10, Bowman over Kez, Byron over Kez, Chastain over Larson was my best bet. I'm still good with that. And I added the Bowman top 10. Brian has Blaney, Buescher, and Reddick. He has Blaney over Logano as his best bet from earlier in the week. He adds the Reddick top 10, the Dinger top 10, Reddick top Toyota, and he's getting some Bubba exposure for the feels. Brian Twining, what is your best bet as we sit here Sunday morning?
all right, this is surely going to bite me in the ass just because I've been on him like every single week over the last few weeks and he just can't finish races. But Tyler Reddick, top 10, plus 155.
Yeah.
Feel pretty confident about that as long as he doesn't wreck, which is always a possibility here. So please be frugal and don't get too heavy on this. But I love this number.
Yep. I think I'm going to go back to. I'm going to add one more bet. And I think it's going to be top 10 market. Rostifer Chastain plus 125. I'm a big fan this week. Ross Chastain top 10 125. So this is surely going to go poorly for me. So I'll put 2 units on it. I need him to get top 10, and I need him to beat Kyle Larson, so that he's surely going to crash or have a bad race. But I'm in on it. I like it. Brian, this was fun. Obviously, we'll get some thoughts out on Twitter as well.
Yep.
Good stuff. For Brian Twining, I'm Kyle Robert, and we'll talk to you next time.